I welcome you, first of all, to the first junior high Facebook Live event. Please bear with us if there's any technical difficulties or we say some things that don't make sense. Being live is not our thing, although we like to interact with people and kids all the time, so thank you for being here. We really want to have this chance to explain to you what we are designing. Obviously, about 2 weeks ago, the state told us that the metrics in the county of Marion County and the state of Oregon were not good enough to have students in the building full time. We had been planning that, getting kids in the building. So that was a quick shift change for us in moving back into comprehensive distance learning. We believe it's going to be quite a bit different than last fall. So let me tell you a little bit about what that's going to look like. Every morning, students are going to log into their computers. We have designed 3 50-minute sessions in the morning, 50-minute blocks of time. Students will be given 3 different class periods for this trimester, and students will be working on just 3 classes. We listened to a lot of your comments last spring saying that there was lots of classes, lots of emails, too much for kids to handle, so we decided to shrink it down to 3 classes. We're going to actually shorten the time period in just 6 weeks, so they'll go through a health class instead of through 12 weeks. We'll shrink that down to 6. And so students will just be responsible for working on 3 classes. And there'll be 3 50-minute blocks of time in the morning, starting at 9:30. And we'll send out the bell schedule or the schedule that we want kids to check in. At the beginning of each of those blocks, we'll have students check into that class. And there'll be an activity there in that class. Sometimes it will be a live discussion that the teacher is hosting. Sometimes it will be a discussion board. Sometimes it will be an actual lesson on the computer curriculum. The school district has bought a curriculum called Schools PLP. It's an online curriculum. It's based on the same Common Core standards that we use here at Cascade Junior High School. And so we'll be using that to facilitate our learning. Teachers will be modifying lessons or adding different things that they think are applicable or better will meet our students' needs. But that will be happening in the mornings. And so kids will check in each of their classes at the beginning of the 50-minute blocks, and they will go ahead and begin working on those, interacting with teachers or other students, however the teacher sets it up for that day. Then we'll take a lunch break for about 30 minutes or so, and then in the afternoon we've built 3 more 50-minute blocks that we're calling teacher office hours. And they will be coinciding with their morning periods. There'll be periods 1, 2, and 3, and then in the afternoon, there'll be again periods 1, 2, and 3. And then students can go and ask specific questions or ask to meet with teachers or email them or get on the phone, and teachers will be available to respond immediately or to respond in live, whether that's a video chat through a Google Meets meeting or an embedded video that might be within our Schools PLP program. That's going to be the function and the format. Students will have lots of time throughout the day to work on their curriculum. We really believe that this is a great chance to connect with our teachers. One of the benefits we think about the way we're doing this is we are giving kids fewer classes to manage. We're also giving teachers fewer kids to come in contact with. And therefore, we hope we're going to increase the level of contact between each individual student and their teachers so that we can get a better chance to connect. Because we truly believe education is all about connection. And this distance learning is going to be the best that we're allowed to do, and we're going to make it the best that we can. So that's kind of in a nutshell what's going to happen. If you cannot log on in the morning, okay, the state of Oregon has given students a 24-hour window to contact their teacher. And there's a variety of contacts that are allowable to be in attendance for that day. Anything from doing a lesson online, to emailing your teacher back and forth, to doing a quiz within the program, watching the recorded video that the teacher produces. And that can be done at 7 p.m. if you're unable to get on in the morning. Clearly, we'd like you to get on in the morning if at all possible, because we believe that's going to be a lot of live interaction with kids and teachers, and that's their best chance of getting that. But we know that that's not always realistic for families. And so we're going to do our best to find activities that will be able to be done without direct teacher intervention in a live format. So anyway, that's the structure and the format for the Cascade Junior High comprehensive distance learning. We know there's lots of challenges out there. We know that some families have issues with technology, and we've sent out a technology survey, and families are responding back by telling us their needs in terms of internet usage or Chromebooks. But basically, we're really excited about doing this. So anytime you have a need, please contact us. We're here every day from 7:30 to 3:30, and often longer than that. Call the main office. Ms. Gates all of our office staff is here. Ms. Gates, Ms. Nixon, Ms. Vandy High, they're there. We're here a lot. So we're here to answer your questions. We are thankful that we have 2 weeks. Teachers come in next week to start learning how to use this program. And we will be sending out a tutorial on how to use Schools PLP for parents and students. That will be the week of August 31st through September 3rd. And that tutorial will come out, and it'll give students a chance to log in and watch a video and figure out, how is this going to work? How am I going to interact and interface with this program? And of course, we know there's going to be struggles, and we're going to find ways to make that happen and help you as best that we can. So with that, that's a general format overview. Have I missed anything, you guys? Okay, so let's dive into the questions, Madeline.
All right, the first question, I don't know which one of you wants to tackle this, but what are the expectations for students?
Students are required to log on to each period at some point during the day. So technically they have 24 hours to log on and interact somehow with whatever the teacher has provided, either by watching the video, turning in an assignment. But the state requires us in the junior high 6 through 12 to actually take attendance for each day per period, which is going to help you though, because instead of having to log on 6 different times to 6 different classes, they only have to log into 3. So hopefully that will help minimize their time on the computer and make it more doable for you and the kiddo.
What are the expectations for parents?
Well, I think one of the things we certainly expect parents to do is to help your students with their coursework, possibly with technology if you need that, getting them logged in, guiding them along with the program. I don't think you mentioned the parents will also get a login as well, that you can monitor the student. So you don't have to log in as your student. You will get a separate login that can go over grades, assignments, into the curriculum, probably attendance as well. Just supporting your student, and then also, certainly we'd like you to advocate for them. So if they're not getting something, please give us a call, or encourage your student to give us a call, so we can help them understand something better, or maybe we can help them along. There's a process and something that they're not doing that we can make better for them.
I think one of the biggest things that we're going to try to do for your students, and I hope that you will as well, is just sheer encouragement. This is not going to be easy. We know last spring it wasn't easy. We know this isn't going to be easy either. We're hoping that the daily contact will alleviate some of that. We're hoping that a structured foundational curriculum that we purchased that's already embedded in online format is going to make things clearer and more simple. We're hoping that will ease some of the angst or the anxiety as well, but surely encouragement is something we all need through these crazy times that we're living, and we want to do the best that we can for our kids. So simply encourage them is one of the best things that we all can do.
And I'll also add, a lot of times we talk about the curriculum and the subjects and stuff like that, but if you see your child having emotional needs or mental health needs, and you're not sure where to turn, what to do, how to handle with them, please give us a call as soon as possible. We have a couple counselors that can either talk to your student or put you in touch with a professional or an organization that can help you.
Mr. Rasmussen, you kind of touched on this, but how will attendance be taken? What should we do, or what should a parent do or a student do if they cannot make a live lesson?
Great question. So if they cannot make a live lesson that happens in the morning 3 blocks, my suggestion would be later that day, have the student go in and log in and find out what happened. Is it something that they can figure out on their own? Is there a tutorial built into the program they can just watch and do? Did they record the live lesson? Have them see if they can interact with it. If they can, fantastic. If your child is sick, it's going to be just like anything else. You're going to call in and say, hey, my child's absent today. And we will mark your child absent according to the state. Now, absences are different. So theoretically, you could be at grandma's house in Tacoma, Washington, and your student could still be attending school. But we're talking about when your child is unable to log on for a 24-hour period and there's a really good reason and you know about it, please call us an excuse just like you would normally. You can email our Cascade attendance email, or you can call our school office and we'll get you directed to Mrs. Nixon by pushing the attendance button. So yes, that's certainly the way it is. If you cannot make it live, try anyway later in the day.
Great answer. When will students find out about their classes, and will all classes be available during distance learning?
We're still working on which classes are available. Woodshop, robotics, foods are all a little bit trickier to do and not necessarily very computer user friendly. But the main core classes will definitely be available. PE will be available, Spanish. So a lot of our electives, we're still trying to find ways to meet the needs of the class and the what students want to do. So they should be available, and students' information is going into the computer now, so I'm hoping that they'll find out in the next, probably not next week, but the week after, which 3 classes that they'll have for the first 6 weeks.
Cool. How will special ed services, students on IEPs, 504 plans, speech, things like that, how will those be handled?
Well, I'll deal with 504s. So I will be, obviously there will be some things that are on a 504 that we will be unable to do because they're specific to coming into the building. But there are several things that are on 504 plans that we can do. And I will be contacting the families when there are issues like that comes up. But an accommodation such as checking for understanding, provided that the student is checking in, is attending either the morning or the afternoon session, is very easy to do. Otherwise, the teacher can call in the afternoon and check in with the student. There's some accommodations, like preferential seating obviously isn't done while you're sitting at home. So we'll deal with those. But the ones that we can do through distance learning, we will take care of, and I will be contacting the families on that.
In terms of special ed and speech services, we are required to provide service, and that's going to happen. Depending on what services your child's are listed out in your child's IEP, your case manager will be contacting you and either providing live instruction for your student or the services that are actually laid out in the IEP. So those will happen. Ms. Peacock does, she's our speech pathologist for the junior high. She does the vast majority of the speech IEPs here in the junior high. She will be in touch with all of her cases as well, finding ways to provide service. That can't stop, and it won't stop. We want every kid to have a chance to utilize all the resources that we have said that they're going to get access to.
This is a couple technology questions. How can families get a Chromebook if they need, and what if they do not have reliable internet access?
There's a technology survey that all you have to do is log into the Cascade website, and if you scroll down, there's this thing that says resources, and just take the survey. Our technology staff is contacting any family that is in need of Chromebooks. We're looking at probably trying to pass those out next week. And as far as Wi-Fi hotspots, we also have those available if your internet is not reliable.
Cool. How will students get to know their teachers and build those relationships if they are not coming into the school buildings?
That's a great question, and that's one of the things that we really focus on in junior high. is that connection to trusted adults. And so we're going to be asking teachers to make regular contact with kids in the afternoon. And if the teacher has 75 students, you might hear directly from the teacher once or twice in the 6-week period. But when your student engages, that will be another contact for that teacher and that student. We're also going to be encouraging teachers to contact students before school starts, trying to help them see if they have any login issues or if they practice logging in. We'll be working on that as well. So yes, we're going to have our activities director, Miss Katie Ranzoni. She's going to be doing some fun activities. We'll be sending out some videos or possibly some contests and helping kids find a way to engage with their peers and with their staff members and teachers.
Cool. Are packets an option instead of working on the computer? There's a lot of concern about the amount of screen time for children and the effect that could have developmentally. So would paper packets be an option?
So right now, paper packets, as far as getting everything on paper and turning everything back in on paper, is not an option. It's not really outlined as an option in the state guidance. Now, in saying that, certainly your child will be doing things with pencil and paper. Most likely, we're going to be printing some supplemental activities that are going to go out each Monday or maybe twice a week. We don't know how much is going to go out yet, but certainly doing a math problem on a computer screen is difficult. And we want kids to work through processes on a piece of paper, and then they'll end up inputting their answer back on the computer. But as far as drawing, a lot of writing will be done by hand, and students can scan that writing, or they can take a picture of it and upload it and turn it in that way. So there are going to be other ways. Yes, we all talk about screen time and we don't like it, but this is a necessity. We don't have a lot of options right now. And truthfully, the interactiveness of the computer program is going to make this so much better. We're estimating that your child is going to be on the computer for 3, maybe 4 hours a day, and arguably less if they're efficient and those kind of things. So that's a lot of time, but at the same time, we think that's a doable solution.
How will you help incoming 6th graders with the transition to junior high school?
Go ahead with that one.
All right.
That's
so
tough.
next Thursday, the 27th, we are going to be sending out a 6th grade orientation video that's going to have some introductions to our 8 6th grade teachers. We have hired 2 new amazing 6th grade teachers this year to join our 6 already amazing 6th grade teachers. We've got a great staff. They're going to introduce themselves. We'll talk a little bit about life in the 6th grade. We'll talk about their homeroom and their color groups, how that works with distance learning. It's going to be actually kind of similar. They're going to have a homeroom teacher for 2 periods, and in the first 6 weeks for 1 period, they're going to go with a color group to a different online class, and then the second 6 weeks, they're going to get 3 more classes, and one of those again will be their homeroom teacher. So we're going to get a chance to explain that whole process to you. We'll talk about some of the dynamic things that happen in 6th grade. One of the big events, obviously, in 6th grade is the outdoor school program. We have, of course, postponed that until the spring. Obviously, the metrics don't allow us to host that. If we can't be in school, certainly we're not going to be hanging out at a camp for a week. The district is committed to trying to find some kind of outdoor school experience for our 6th grade kids. So we are working super hard at looking at, we traditionally go to Camp Tadmore. We're looking at that. Do they have any dates available? We've explored other camps. We are hoping that the state metrics open up so that we can do some kind of a outdoor school experience for our kids, because it is such a life changing event. So we're excited about still working hard at providing that.
What will be done about students who are struggling academically, socially, and need extra help?
We're definitely going to have counselors available for the social emotional to be contacting them. We'll have teachers contacting students, and if families or students and parents will let teachers know, then that's a quicker response time. But definitely teachers will be contacting regularly. We're hoping at the end of September or beginning of October, the state will be allowing us to more easily bring kiddos in small groups to work in kind of a one-on-one tutoring fashion to kind of help with whatever needs that they might have at that point. But that's something down the road. We still need to get teachers and students up and running on distance learning before we can jump into this next component.
Can you expand on that? There's some questions about this limited in-person instruction. What would that look like? How and when will students be brought on campus?
In the comprehensive distance learning guidance that the state gave out, they did allow for a limited in-person attendance. And that is not supposed to be new instruction, it's supposed to be support. And that support can be for a myriad of reasons. It actually limits students to 2 hours a day. So it's not like kids are gonna come at 8 o'clock and be here till 3. It also restricts the size of each cohort. Students will be limited to 10 students that they'll be in contact with while they're here in this building, and or less, up to a maximum of 10. But we'll be working on how to get students in. It's not required. Students and families who don't want to come in or send their child into the limited on-site instruction do not have to. But we know that there will be some kids and families who would love to come in for a couple of hours. And again, will that be every day, every other day, 2 times a week, every other week, once a week? We aren't sure yet. It'll be based upon need and based upon demand. We will find a way to meet people's needs as best as we can in terms of a face-to-face option. I'm grateful that the state allowed that option, but it does come with some challenges as making sure that we can keep kids safe, and I believe that we can. We ran a summer school program here up until July 4th, and we followed all the state guidelines, and it was an excellent experience for those students. So we believe that we can do that. This will occur in the afternoons. So when this does happen, most likely in the beginning of October, once we identify students and families who want to participate, and we find out how the frequency is going to work, this will be most likely in the afternoon. There will be busing transportation if the families want it, and students will come in, spend up to 2 hours maximum, and then be bused home. So that is certainly something we're excited about, but we still have some planning and work to do on that as well.
What supplies will students need for comprehensive distance learning?
Well, excuse me, basic supplies. Obviously, you'll need a pen or pencil, some paper. I didn't read the whole list, but if you go online, we have updated our supply list. And the top section are the supplies that you need for comprehensive distance learning. And then there's a section below, and it notes on there what you would need if and when we come back to the brick and mortar building here at school, the things they would need. I would also suggest, because I believe there was a comment on Facebook about the date that was on there of September 7th or 3rd or whatever that was. That was just that's kind of our hope, but it all depends on the matrix, it depends on the guidelines, it depends on the governor's mandates and the CDC as to when we come back.
In terms of supplies and schedules, you'll probably hear this quite a bit over the next 2 weeks, but we really want kids at home to get into a rhythm and a schedule. Where is the workplace that they're going to be working at? Getting up in the morning, getting ready, getting dressed, getting their school supplies ready so that when 9:30 hits and that first period time block starts, they have everything they need right there. And so we'll talk more about that, but the more routine we give children, we find that they usually work better in. That's one of the reasons that school and systems work so well, is because most students like routines and schedules. And even developing one of those in your own home is a great idea. Helping kids be successful there, much in the same way they would sit in a seat here at school, would be a great way to start.
What will socializing look like during comprehensive distance learning for students?
socializing between students?
Yeah.
Well, certainly kids are going to get a chance to talk to each other in live classroom discussions. I believe one of the benefits of this program, if it's not, we'll use Google Meets to do it, but we can break classes up into smaller groups as well to work on specific tasks. And they'll be able to talk to each other and communicate there. You know, some of the other activities we've talked about, we're hoping to have students come in the building for assistance. Someday maybe we'll get back to having clubs in the afternoon and in the evening. Those are on hold for now, but we're looking for ways. We're looking for ways to have our student council provide, like I mentioned earlier, Ms. Rangzoni is working on some fun activities that kids can do while being at home and interacting with their peers. So we're going to try to be creative as possible. If you have any great ideas, send them our way. We would love to look at them. But of course, we want to do everything we can for your students' social health.
How will students be graded?
It will be a regular grading. It's no longer the pass incomplete. Students will be graded and they'll get an A through F grade based upon how what they do within their class and assignments. I do believe that teachers will allow for redos if something doesn't come in and it's not up to standard, that students will have the opportunity to redo an assignment or retake a test, just to kind of help support their grades, considering this is a unique learning situation for all of us.
With live instruction, will that be delivered on Schools PLP, Zoom, Google Hangouts? What will be the platform for that?
We're not 100% sure yet. Schools PLP, we believe, has video capabilities. If it does, most of the school live instruction will happen embedded within Schools PLP. If it is not, we'll be using Google Meets. And Google Meets can be accessed by using your students' Cascade email account. Within that, they have their Google Drive. They also have their Google Meet app there, and they can push on that and be able to join activities or events that teachers set up for them. So we're waiting to hear whether Schools PLP has video capabilities. If it does, we'll do most of it inside of Schools PLP, but if not, we'll certainly be using Google Meet.
Will you guys and teachers still be using TylerSIS?
Yes. Right now, the two platforms don't talk to each other, so Schools PLP and Tyler will be operating separate to begin with. So if you go on to Tyler to look at your students' grades, that may not reflect totally accurate because the teachers will have to manually download it from the Schools PLP to Tyler. I would imagine probably somewhere around the end of September. I believe we were told that the company that has Schools PLP will have a system that they will actually basically marry the two programs together. So it will automatically go from Schools PLP to Tyler. But we will use Tyler. That's how you are, when you get the big emails, that's how you get that. That's how you get progress reports, report cards, and communication from us.
One slight change, because we're shrinking the classes to 6 weeks, you will get a report card at 6 weeks for your students' performance in the 3 classes. At roughly the 4-week mark, we'll be sending home alerts to families of students who are receiving poor grades. If they're getting a D or an F, the beginning of that 4th week, we'll be sending letters. The rest of you, if your student's getting an A, B, or C, we will not be sending letters home. It just doesn't work that quickly. But if your student's struggling, we'll be in touch with you. So regularly check grades in Schools PLP. We'll be getting students their logins and hopefully very soon parent logins. So while you're waiting for your parent login, you can use your student's login to look into your students' classes and see what their current grades are in their 3 classes.
Can you just talk a little bit about the difference between comprehensive distance learning versus online and how that will be, or how parents can decide which option?
You bet. So comprehensive distance learning is what we've been talking about here. We have always had a separate online program here at Cascade Junior High. We call it CVA. It's not a separate school, it's a program within Cascade Junior High School. Those students take the 4 core classes all online. It's a self-paced program. There's not near the teacher interaction. Basically, the only teacher interaction is when a student has a question on a problem, they email their teacher and ask for help. And those teachers, some of them work in our district after hours, some of them don't work for our district, they work for other school districts who work in the evenings. And so your student will get a response within 24 hours to that student's question. It's fine. It's a fine program for students who like to work independently. But what we found is most junior high students don't always do tremendously well with that. We send a few students every year to that, and the success rate is not so high because that interaction is just a little bit lacking. So we are going to be enrolling everyone in our comprehensive distance learning, giving them a 3-period schedule for the first 6 weeks. If you really would like to explore the online program that we've always had called Cascade Virtual Academy, call us. We'd love to chat with you about it and explain a little bit more to you about what it is and how it could work for you. Right now, I think we have 3 students is all who are enrolled in that, and those were students from last year who are continuing in that process. So we're going to enroll students in comprehensive learning because we believe that our teachers are going to make the difference in interacting with your students. So we're hopeful that that's going to be the best way to go.
And online is not school's PLP.
No.
It is a platform called Apex, which is a totally different system. There's no video capabilities. It's just strictly designed for online.
You kind of touched on this, but I'll ask the question because it came up. Will there be like a virtual classroom, or how will teachers kind of create that virtual classroom environment?
There will be a virtual classroom. We totally envision that teachers will do team building activities and ways to connect students with other students. We know there's quite a few new kids joining Cascade, and what a challenging time to be the new student. You don't even get to be the new kid. You're completely in not a very user-friendly environment. So I know teachers are going to do whatever they can to do team building and positively encourage students to participate by setting up the small classes, small groups within the classroom. Then students are definitely going to have the opportunity to connect with other kids that are in their own grade.
Cool. What are the expectations of teachers to have grades updated, worked grades entered?
We're waiting to see what school's PAP looks like. As far as is it grading quizzes automatically and entering them, but certainly weekly teachers will have grades updated. That's pretty standard. By every Friday afternoon or Monday morning, by Monday morning, teachers will have grades updated from the previous week.
Cool. That is all that's come through. That's all we have submitted so far, and so I think you guys did great.
All right.
If you haven't registered yet, please do. If you're struggling to finish up the registration, feel free to call us. One of our secretaries can definitely help walk you through. They found a few people who just had a couple glitches, and they were able to submit or help finalize whatever is needed.
Yeah, and once again, human interaction is going to make this work. And so if you have a question or concern, talking to us, encouraging your student to contact their teacher when they have a concern. Because sitting at the computer saying, I don't get this, is going to be probably a common occurrence. So the next step is now what? So let's get students to contact teachers. They are going to be at computers for their allotted time periods, and they're going to be there. And they're going to answer emails and phone calls and questions. And if you have concerns, we're here. Our counseling department's going to be building up some lessons to talk about social emotional health and sharing those in some fashion or another with all of our students so that we can make sure the kids are doing okay. Because this is an exciting, different time, but it's also a challenging time. And we want to make sure the kids are supported through this. So we're going to maintain our high expectations at Cascade Junior High, but we realize that we're also going to provide high support. And that's always been our motto at Cascade Junior High, and we're just excited to continue that in this completely different format that none of us have ever done before. So we're excited that you're joining this journey with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys.
You know,
Take care.
Just one
Go
other
ahead.
question that came up was how we're going to service kids with lunches. Lunches are still available for junior high and high school students. They will be served at the elementary schools, however. They are, I don't know if it's the same price, but I believe the price is $3.35 for secondary and $2.95, I think, for elementary kids. But if you are free and reduced, that price is waived. It's a free lunch. And we're doing it like we did in the spring. There will be breakfast items as well. So you get a breakfast and a lunch for that price. And you pick it up. It's going to start September 8th at all the elementaries from noon until 1:15. If you need to fill out a free and reduced application, those are available, or call one of the offices. We can email them to you. And we just hope that if that is a need for you, that you can participate in that. And I believe that there's a change with who qualifies. It used to be 188% of the federal poverty level. Now it's 300%. So a lot more people will qualify for free and reduced. So if you weren't sure last year, you're on the edge, you probably will qualify this year.
Thank you so much, you guys, for taking part of your day to join us. If you have any questions, please call us, email us anytime. Thank you.
Good night.